The crack of the front door splitting open jolted me awake, heart pounding so fiercely it rattled my ribs, as lightning-quick footsteps thundered down the creaking wooden porch toward my bedroom. In the dim glow of dawn, I caught sight of Karen Whitmore's bulbous silhouette framed in her floral robe, pearls swinging like judgment gavel pendulums, phone raised as though preparing to document a crime scene rather than the home she didn't own. Her face was flushed with indignation, lips curled into a scowl so fierce it seemed she'd swallowed a wasp, and at her feet lay a freshly delivered eviction notice ironically addressed to her, rather than me, the rightful occupant. I fumbled for my glasses, adrenaline sharpening every sense, and as I stood unsteadily, she shrieked into her handset that an unauthorized intruder was occupying HOA property, waving her finger like a tyrant brandishing decrees. The air was thick with the scent of pine and morning dew, but underneath it all shimmered the metallic tang of outrage. My cabin ancestral property, handed down through 4 generations, was under siege by the self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac. Yet as she pivoted to film me for her social media audience, I reached into my robe pocket, the satin sliding against my fingertips until I felt the cool metal of my badge and the laminated card beneath it. Pulling it free, I held it aloft. Chief Marshal Daniel Harper, Cedar Falls County. It declared in bold type. Karen's mouth dropped open, the eviction notice fluttering to the floor like a crumpled plea. Her eyes flickered between my badge and the ornate deed I'd sealed in county records decades ago, proof that this land, this cabin, was mine by every lawful measure. Reality crashed into her entitlement as the siren-soft murmur from the dispatcher shifted from curiosity to hesitation. That was the first shock, a confrontation so unexpected that the very ground seemed to tremble beneath her stilettos. The second phase unfolded as I stepped forward, voice calm but unyielding. I recounted the truth. How her HOA had long exceeded its remit, issuing fines for broken gutters, mandating paint colors, and now trespassing on private property under the guise of community oversight. I revealed the stack of affidavits tucked in my coat, testimonies from neighbors forced to pay exorbitant cabin use fees and attend her mandatory monthly powwows. With each page I flipped, Karen's face drained of color, her fury replaced by a dawning horror that her petty reign of terror was about to be exposed. But the true twist came before the standoff turned kinetic. From the rosebush-framed window of the guesthouse emerged my estranged sister, Marisol, whom Karen believed exiled after a family feud. Draped in a law journal hat and clutching her own set of documents, Marisol revealed she'd been working in private practice to challenge every overreach of Karen's HOA in nearby jurisdictions, building a case file far richer than mine. Together, we combined our evidence, property deeds, legal opinions, even video proof of her patrols, terrorizing retirees, and dropped it at Karen's feet like a gauntlet thrown. The gravity of that moment, 2 siblings united in legal might sent ripples through the assembled onlookers. Ranch hands peeking from barns, early rising hikers, and even the local news crew Karen had summoned to livestream her dramatic takedown of an intruder. None expected their heroine to become the accused. In the crescendo of confrontation, Karen lunged to snatch back her phone, but Marisol deftly locked eyes with her, voice steady as steel. "You have trespassed on our rights, assaulted our legacy, and now you will answer under the law." Deputies discreetly summoned by my office emerged from the woods, badges glinting in the pink light of sunrise, and cuffed Karen's trembling wrists. Her pearls scattered across the porch boards like fallen stars. Her hired security SUVs sputtered to life, engines roaring as though in protest, but the deputies blocked their path, creating a human barrier between entitlement and accountability. Karen's empire of fines and threats tumbled in real time as the deputies read her Miranda rights, her protests dissolving into a stunned silence. Then, as the morning mist lifted, I addressed the gathering hush. This cabin represents more than wood and nails. It embodies a family's history, a community's trust, and the principle that no one, no matter how bold, can override the rights of the rightful owner. A ripple of applause rose from the crowd. Neighbors who had once cowered at her HOA bulletins, artisans forced to repaint their galleries, retirees fined for uneven driveways. They stepped forward to reclaim their voices, recounting tales of petty tyranny that Karen had wielded like a cudgel. In that fifth and final phase, our dawn of inspiration, we formed an impromptu circle around the porch, pledging to rewrite HOA bylaws with transparent processes, rotating leadership, and genuine forums for debate. Marisol unfurled a banner reading justice, ownership, community, and handed each neighbor a paintbrush to sign their name. Children chased the fallen pearls, transforming them into necklaces of solidarity. And as Karen was led into the waiting patrol car, pale and broken, I turned to the camera and issued our challenge. Was this justice served, or did we overreach? Share your thoughts, right or wrong, and help guide the future of Cedar Falls. The question hung in the sunlit air, inviting every viewer to choose between fear and fairness, entitlement and empathy. The dawn after Karen's arrest broke with a chorus of birdsong and the distant hum of life reclaiming its rhythm. Yet the cabin porch still bore the scars of the night's drama, pearls strewn like fallen emblems of her authority, scuff marks from the struggle, and that wooden plank scrawled with "my cabin, my rights," now repurposed as a makeshift podium for our community meeting. With deputies gone and the dust settling, neighbors drifted onto the porch one by one, each clutching cups of steaming coffee brewed by Marisol in her travel mug, their faces a mixture of disbelief and exhilaration. Without a pause, I stepped forward to address them, my badge tucked beneath my coat, but my heart laid bare. Last night we witnessed how entitlement can poison a neighborhood, but today we'll show how unity and respect can heal it. At my words, a murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Farmhands who'd once trembled under Karen's fines, artists who'd repainted their murals in secret, and retirees who'd paid for paint inspections they never needed. Marisol produced a stack of freshly printed bylaws drafted with input from every household, their margins annotated with colorful comments and suggestions. Rotating leadership roles, transparent financial reporting, clear procedures for legitimate disputes, and restorative justice provisions requiring offenders to apologize in community circles rather than slapping fines. I invited everyone to sign those bylaws, and as they did, their signatures etched a new covenant across the trembling plank. Even the children, who had found the discarded pearls and strung them into garlands, looped them around hands and wrists in celebration. As the sun cleared the treetops, casting golden light across our faces, I felt the weight of years of silent resentment lift from my shoulders. Yet beneath that rising joy lay the sober realization that this transformation was only the beginning. I announced plans to convert the old HOA funds, now frozen, pending investigation, into a community repair budget for cabin roof leaks, fence mending, and shared water well maintenance. A cheer rose at the promise of relief from opportunistic fines. Marisol revealed she had arranged pro bono legal clinics at the county courthouse twice a month to help residents draft wills and review land titles, ensuring no future Karen could exploit scant knowledge of property law. And Elena, who had kept meticulous notes throughout the ordeal, unveiled a website where neighbors could log complaints, propose community events, and track budgets in real time. In that moment, the cabin no longer felt like an isolated outpost, but the beating heart of a thriving, empowered community. Yet even as we celebrated, an undercurrent of urgency stirred. What if another power-hungry figure emerged, cloaked in goodwill but intent on self-enrichment? To guard against that, I proposed a community oversight council comprised of 3 rotating members elected annually, each with the power to audit budgets, chair meetings, and mediate disputes. Volunteers stepped forward. Mrs. Nguyen, the retired schoolteacher with a knack for fair judgment. Carlos, the mechanic whose calm demeanor defused countless tensions. And Anika, the youth delegate determined to give younger residents a voice. Their names were added to the bylaws alongside ours, and as we affixed the seal of Cedar Falls County to the documents, a wave of solidarity washed over us. The final twist of our hidden structure arrived when, from the edge of the clearing, Sheriff Donovan appeared bearing an unexpected gift. An old oak sapling complete with roots wrapped in burlap, a symbol of both fragility and resilience. He explained that the county had secured funds to plant new trees in neighborhoods recovering from turmoil, and he wanted Cedar Falls, our cabin communitato, take the first. Together, we carried the sapling to the edge of the clearing and dug a hole beneath the rising sun. As I held the young tree upright, neighbors took turns shoveling soil back into the earth, each heave of dirt punctuating our shared promise to nurture what we had reclaimed, to protect it against shadowy schemes, and to remember that authority belongs to those who serve, not those who dominate. When the last scoop fell, we wrapped the exposed roots in a wreath made of the pearls Karen had lost, a poetic gesture transforming symbols of vanity into emblems of unity. The music that followed was spontaneous. Ms. Ramirez strummed her guitar. Marisol hummed a melody she said her grandfather once sang, and children clapped along, their laughter stitching a melody of hope into the air. As the gathering dispersed into midday chores and celebratory embraces, I stayed behind long enough to place a small plaque at the sapling's base, planted in solidarity on the day entitlement fell. Later, as dusk gilded the horizon, I penned our final call to action on the community bulletin board by the well-worn trail. We have transformed fear into fellowship and restraint into renewal. Yet every generation must choose empathy over entitlement. Did our response uphold justice, or did we risk vigilantism? Share your thoughts, right or wrong, and guide the next chapter of our shared story. I stepped back to watch neighbors stop by, scratching comments onto sticky notes and slipping them into the suggestion box beneath the board. That hum of engagement, each note, each debate, each shared idea felt more powerful than any siren or gavel. As I locked my cabin door and prepared to rest, I realized the true victory lay not in Karen's downfall but in the vibrant, living dialogue we had ignited. For entitlement shatters when confronted by collective will, and justice thrives when tempered by compassion. And in Cedar Falls, beneath the young oak now rooted in newfound trust, we had forged more than bylaws, we had forged a legacy. As dawn's pale light spilled across the clearing, neighbors emerged from cabins and trailers to witness the young oak's first full day standing sentinel over our reclaimed land. Without pausing, I convened a final huddle around the sapling, its slender trunk a testament to renewal, and invited each person to voice a single pledge, small, daily commitments to uphold the spirit we had fought so hard to reclaim. Mrs. Nguyen, her silver hair catching the sun, promised to deliver weekly homemade meals to any household in need, ensuring no one would ever again face hardship alone under a cloak of silence. Carlos, the mechanic whose calm hand I had seen steady a frightened neighbor's tractor, vowed to offer free repairs to those whose budgets could not stretch to sudden breakdowns. Anika, the youth delegate, declared she would organize monthly art workshops for children to express their dreams and concerns through paint and clay, nurturing empathy from the youngest generation up. Even Sheriff Donovan, who had guided us through every legal twist, stepped forward to commit to quarterly community forums at the station, where we would review bylaws, budgets, and concerns with open no-locked doors, no hidden agendas. One by one, voices wove a tapestry of promises that stretched far beyond the cabin's porch, binding each of us to our neighbors in a covenant stronger than any HOA fine or eviction notice. As the final promise was spoken, a hush fell, and then the crowd began to sing a simple harmony born from the bluesfolk tune Cooper had first played in our moment of triumph, its refrain echoing through the pines. Together we stand, divided we fall. Hand in hand, we answer the call. The melody united us more surely than any court decree. It became our anthem of accountability. After the song, I issued a challenge to every resident to record one act of kindness each week and post it on our new community board, not for praise, but as a reminder that collective care was our greatest defense against the allure of entitlement. Throughout the morning, sticky notes fluttered onto the board, offers of rides to doctor appointments, spare lumber for barn repairs, invitations to communal dinners, each a living proof that the bonds we forged ran deeper than any conflict. In that moment, I realized that the true measure of our victory would be found in these small acts repeated across days and seasons, not in headlines or hashtags. To ensure our momentum endured beyond our immediate circle, I contacted neighboring ranch communities and offered to share our bylaws template, our conflict resolution framework, and our youth engagement model. Within hours, I received enthusiastic replies from distant valleys, requests for mentorship, invitations to speak at community gatherings, and offers to form a regional coalition dedicated to ethical governance. The idea of Cedar Falls, the cabin community that toppled a petty queen, becoming a beacon for rural justice, felt both surreal and deeply right. That afternoon, as I walked the perimeter of my ancestral cabin, I paused to examine the new boundary markers, handcrafted posts bearing the names of families and the date of our charter's enactment. Each post told a story. The Martinez family commemorated forgiveness after a feud, The Jacksons marked the reclaiming of their heritage barn, and the Patel household celebrated their first harvest festival under our renewed bylaws. I traced my fingers over the carved letters Harper Homestead, recalling the moment Karen had first tried to erase my claim with her shrill edicts. Now the land sang with a different narrative, one of resilience, respect, and shared stewardship. As the sun dipped low and shadows stretched long across the forest floor, I gathered once more on the porch with Elena and Marisol, offering them mugs of hot cider spiced with cinnamon and nutmeg. We watched as neighbors drifted past to exchange final farewells before returning to their daily rhythms: farm chores, art projects, legal workshops, and marveled at how quickly life had shifted from fear to fulfillment. Elena leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder, and whispered that our cabin had never felt so full of promise. Marisol, ever the strategist, unveiled her plan to publish our story in a rural law journal, not for fame, but to inspire legal scholars and policymakers to consider empowering communities rather than bureaucracies. The three of us sat in reflective silence as twilight's hush fell, feeling the pulse of Cedar Falls beating strong in every heart around us. Before turning in, I drafted a final post on our community website, a distilled refrain of the 5-part journey we had lived. From shocking intrusion to united renewal, we have proven that justice guided by compassion can uproot tyranny and sow seeds of hope. Tonight we rest, but tomorrow we stand ready to defend our shared dream. Did our actions uphold true justice, or did we tread the edge of vigilantism? Share your perspective, right or wrong, and shape the next chapter of Cedar Falls' legacy. With the keystrokes complete, I closed my laptop and stepped outside, inhaling the crisp night air that carried the scent of pine and possibility. Fireflies danced around the sapling's new leaves, their glow reminiscent of the hope we had illuminated in each other's lives. As I entered the cabin, the creak of the door felt less like intrusion and more like an embrace-me home restored, my community redeemed. In the quiet that followed, I allowed myself one final thought: that entitlement, no matter how grandiose or aggressive, would always crumble when met by unity, empathy, and unwavering resolve. And with that conviction tucked into my heart, I extinguished the porch light and let the soft darkness carry me into a peaceful sleep, secure in the knowledge that Cedar Falls would continue to thrive, not because we defeated one Karen, but because we chose to build each other up every single day.